So recently I went to a Danza Azteca ceremony, and it's kind of a Aztec tradition. It's not an unbroken Aztec tradition, so I'm going to talk about the history of the Danza Azteca. This is from Ruben A. Arellano. He's a PhD in Chicano indigenous activist, and he's an actual Aztec dancer. So we're getting the real historical perspective, and we're getting a scholarly perspective. So the Danza Azteca isn't exactly a pre-colonial unbroken tradition from what I've seen, but it actually dates to the time of the early Spanish colonial era. And to be honest, I was a bit disappointed to hear about this because it seemed like a pre-colonial, totally unbroken tradition. But it's more like a preservation of indigenous tradition that was at first being practiced with like a veil of Catholicism, because that's how a lot of these things have to be practiced because the Catholics were kind of at this time trying to scrub away all indigenous traditions. Um, Later Mexica advocates they eliminated the European influence. So even if it's not a purely unbroken tradition, I like to see it as, let's give it like a parable or something, an analogy. It's like the Danza Azteca is like a talisman that was sacred to the indigenous Mexican people, that was then hidden away, covered in some kind of veneer to appear Christian at first. And then once it was safe for this thing to be revealed, the veneer was taken off by these Mexica advocates in the 20th century, and we have that same special item underneath. And arguably the fact that it came from the conflict or come from during the conquest might mean more emotionally to indigenous advocates to these Aztec spirits because the danza could be seen as something more poignant. Things gain so much more meaning when they're threatened, which is just kind of a sad truth, and it's a really shitty example, but let's say, I don't know, Taco Bell. Taco Bell has so many LTOs, limited time offerings, and people cherish these offerings because they're gonna be gone. If they're readily available all year, people wouldn't give a shit. But still, I fucking wish lava sauce was fucking offered year round, and I still really want it, motherfucker, so just bring like the fucking lava sauce and I'd be happy.